Sometimes I feel so alone in my podcasting journey. Where can I go for support? Hello, friend. Thanks for pressing play on this episode of the Brassy broadcast. I'm Jen Eads. I'm a musician, a student of the creative universe, and a curious girl full of questions. I'm also the head broad in charge at the Brassy Broadcasting Company, where I partner with the creators, the doers, and the makers of the world to put them in the ears, heads, and hearts of new audiences with podcasts and other audio goodness. Now, this is the part of the podcast where I put a call to action in before we jump into the juicy goodness of the episode. My grand plan was to have a super groovy landing page set up on my website so I could send you there and you could click the fancy little button to take advantage of the special $97 one-to-one podcast strategy session I'm offering until the end of 2017 to help you implement the tools in this digital podcasting toolkit that I'm putting together from this 30 days of brass tacks podcasting wisdom. And it would be a seamless process. But guess what? Reality and technology converged to create a different path for me today. I was having trouble adding the page to my website yesterday. Then my website guy figured out the issue for me, and I was super grateful and on my way. And since it was 4 a.m. and I'd been lying awake in bed since about 1 a.m. this morning, I decided to make good use of my non-sleepy time and work on my new page and getting it added to my website homepage. It looked beautiful when I finally went back to bed around 6 a.m. It didn't look so beautiful when I opened it back up after a few hours sleep to find that in my 4 a.m. fog, apparently I did not save it. That being said, when you're ready to work with someone that will be incredibly transparent with their own struggles and what they have learned along the way of their podcasting journey, and you want more in-depth one-to-one coaching on your podcast workflow, audio quality, or help jumping some other podcasting hurdle, for today, email me at Jen, Jen, at brassybroad.com to schedule this 1-hour podcasting strategy session. But if you want to wait until tomorrow when you can just click on the magical button on the website, that's totally cool with me. Now let's talk about where to find support on your podcasting journey. If you produce your podcast all on your own, it can feel a little lonely sometimes and a little overwhelming. The good news is that you are not alone. There are thousands of podcasters out there. And even better news is that many of them are passionate about podcasting, love talking to other podcasters about podcasting, and they are more than willing to share their wealth of podcasting knowledge. Before I jump into all the places where you can find your podcasting people, I want to share what having the support of fellow podcasters has done for me. This is my why for getting out there and building relationships with other podcasters. I made the decision this spring to join the E-League when Podcasting Hall of Famer Elsie Escobar opened up enrollment. And it was a big investment in myself. And I will tell you that working with Elsie in our one-to-one session was worth the price of admission right there. I'm still working through and processing and implementing things that we talked about in the spring. It's been a process for me. But wait, there's more. There is so much more. The Jelly of the Month Club gift that keeps on giving all year round in this E-League is the community of women that are there. This community is my squad. This is the first place I turn when I have a question, need some support, or some accountability. This is day 14 of my 30-day commitment to publishing a podcast every day in November. This is the middle of the grind, and it is a grind. It would have been so easy to give it up the last couple of days, but I've committed. I told my fellow E-Leaguers that I was doing this. Now, there would be no shaming or judgment from them if I failed in this mission. They would still be supportive and understanding, but there is a bar of excellence and commitment in this group, and I don't want to be the slacker. Their push for excellence and commitment drives mine, and I've needed that little extra push. And then I was listening to the She podcast yesterday, and Elsie was talking about me making this commitment. Now, there is no way I'm going to stop now. Like, she really put it out in the universe and added an even higher level of accountability with that. I can't stop now. In addition to the accountability and support of this group, there's also a willingness to share what we know and to help each other try new things. It's not a competition. Podcasting is not a competition. It's not all about download numbers. We're all there to get better, but not to be better than somebody else. And we celebrate. It's so fun to celebrate even the smallest wins with the people that get you and the work that you do. Cheers to my E-League podcasting sisters. There is an incredibly engaged podcasting community on Facebook. I'm a member of the She Podcast Facebook group, as well as some other podcast editing and production groups. Now, not every group is for every podcaster, so check out a few different groups and see which ones speak to you. The beauty of Facebook groups is that you can lurk and you don't have to actively participate in discussions, but you do tend to get out of them what you put into them. And if you're not a Facebook fan, get on Twitter or Instagram and search podcasting hashtags. There are also lots of podcasters to connect with that are hanging out there. I love seeing what my fellow podcasters are up to on Instagram. It's also my favorite place to share my podcasting and musical shenanigans, and you will find me there at Brassy Broad Jen. I'm fortunate that we have a growing podcast scene here in Indianapolis. I'm a member of a couple of local podcasting and radio groups that meet monthly. It's so good to get out in the community and see what the podcasters and radio folks in my own backyard are doing. I've learned so much from joining these groups and made some great friends. Check meetup.com, Eventbrite, or do a search in Facebook to see if you have a local meetup. If you don't see one, maybe it's time you started it. Attending podcast conventions and workshops is another way to connect with real live podcasters. Not everyone can make it to Podcast Movement, the big one. Heck, I didn't even make it to Podcast Movement this year because it was in California. But I did go last year when it was in Chicago, and the sessions were fun, but honestly, it was information overload. For me, the real value and joy came in meeting other podcasters face-to-face that I knew from Facebook groups or from listening to their shows. The magic happens between the sessions out in the common areas. The good news is that there are more regional podcasting events popping up around the country. Go when you have the opportunity. Find your podcasting people. They are out there. If you found even the smallest little nugget of wisdom in this episode, please share it with a friend that needs to hear it. Don't be stingy. Instagram is my jam. You can connect with me there to get the behind the scenes where my podcasting and musical worlds collide. And for podcasting tutorials, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find me on YouTube at Jen Eads Brassy. Thanks for listening. Now get out in the world and do some good.